Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
So here's the Zombicide, what they call the Daily Zombie Spawn Set. You're going to get this just in a white box. So maybe you just throw this in your core box. As you can see, it's going to come with some rules on how to utilize these zombies. Each one's going to have like a little bit different of a power. I'll go through each one with you and kind of show them to you and show you what they do. Then you just get a whole bunch of new zombie types to add in. Here is the Ballerina. As you can see, she's going to activate from 2 zones away from a survivor. She jumps right at them and can ignore obstacles and tanks and etc. And that is the Ballerina. Here is the Bride. As you can see, she will jump out, be very, very scary. But when she spawns, an additional walker will spawn with her. So something a little bit different will happen as she'll spawn with a different walker. Here is the Butler. You can see he is missing an arm. And the great thing about the Butler is that when you defeat him, you click the top card and you can either discard it to the bottom or you can leave it where it's at. So it gives you a little bit of an option if you can defeat the Butler. Here is the Cat Lady. Now, whenever she attacks, every survivor in the zone will get a wound. Any dogs in the line of sight gets an extra action for their current activation. And that is the Cat Lady. You can see all the cats all over her. Pretty clever, huh? Here is the Cheerleader. Now, all actors, all zombies and survivors in her area will get an extra activation. So you want to be very careful when the Cheerleader is out because she can help the zombies but also help you out. So maybe having her around isn't such a bad thing. Here is Coffin Joe. Very hilarious when you see the coffin, how he's in it. You can see the back of it. Now, he's a little harder to kill because obviously he's in a coffin. So it takes 2 hits with a damage of 1 or more to eliminate Coffin Joe. So you got a little bit of protection. You got him in the right spot. Otherwise, he will survive minor damage. Here is the Executive. Now, when you defeat the Executive, you may draw the top 3 cards of the zombie deck. You look at them, put them back on top in any order you want. So she will allow you to control what's going to come out in the zombie deck. Just a little bit there. Here is the Flight Attendant. Now, whenever she hits a survivor, they discard the largest item they have in their hand. So you want to be very careful when you're around her because you don't want to lose your good items. Here is the Judge. Now, he will ignore the targeting priority when performing a ranged attack and it will target whatever zombie that you prefer. So that's kind of how he is going to work. You can see his gavel right there. Very cool little sculpt. Here is the Lawnmower Man. You can see his little weed eater down there. It's pretty funny. Whenever he enters the zones, he instantly deals 1 wound. You cannot do anything about that. He's going to give you that 1 wound right off the bat. Lion Dancer, as you can see here. Any survivor with the line of sight gains the Lucky skill. It now allows you to have rerolls on your attack. So he kind of, look at that back there. It's pretty funny. As he's going through. That's the Lion Dancer. Here is the Lunch Lady. Now, if she's ever alone, you immediately spawn 1 runner in her zone. The runners like to run away from her food, I guess. Just like a regular lunch lady, right? Here is the Magician. And when you eliminate him, you get a chance to draw something from his hat. So you draw a card from the equipment deck. Be careful, because it might be a zombie, but it gives you an opportunity to get something for free in his magical hat, right? Just like Frosty the Snowman. So here is the Nun, and when you eliminate her, instead of gaining an action point, you lose 1. So you want to be very careful about taking out the Nun here. As you can see, you don't want to mess with God too much, right? And one of my favorites is the One-Man Band. This is fantastic. So whichever space he occupies becomes the noisiest for other zombies. He'll still fall the noisiest zone on the board, though, so watch out, because he will just start making music, and everybody will start following him. So he can be helpful if you can manipulate him correctly. Here is the Postman. Now, when you spawn the Postman, draw an equipment card and assign it to him. The survivor who kills the Postman immediately gets that card. So it'll be in his bag, and when you kind of kill him, you're able to look through his bag and rummage through it, and you get it. So that's the Postman. Here's the Renaissance Fairman. You can see he's all dressed up and ready to go. He ignores all damage from attacks unless they come from a weapon that would exist in medieval times. So he's very silly, but you can see that's what would happen to him. So you got to use something that would be available during that time period. Maybe other than the One-Man Band, this is my favorite one, the Swimmer guy. His presence requires survivors to spend an extra action to leave his zone, because he's got that thing, he's really far away from you, you can't really grab him in the first place, I guess. But he really just cracks me up, to be honest. And here is the Waitress. She gains an extra activation when she shares a zone with a survivor. She's really funny. And she's particularly nasty to me. I could just see her like jumping out at you. Ah! But yeah, so she kind of works. So here is the bullfighter. Now he's a runner, so he's a little bit darker. Landing a hit on him is extremely difficult, as only a die of 6 against him is able to score a hit. Because, oolay, he can move around, right? You can see his scarf. It'll be really cool once this one is all painted up. Here's the Olympic runner. I think about Usain Bolt. But an Olympic runner benefits from the zombie rush roll. It performs an activation right after being. So as soon as he's spawned, he takes off running, just like Usain Bolt. So that's how I want him painted up. Here is the pizza delivery boy. You can see it's pretty cute. If you eliminate him, you grab a slice and you gain 3 additional AP for eating that slice of pizza. It may be spoiled, but still going to give you the energy that you need. Here is the quarterback for the local football team. When entering a zone, he immediately tackles every survivor with such a powerful impact it will cost him 1 additional action to get up. But due to his heavy protective, it takes 2 damage to kill him, just like a fatty, because he's wearing all that football armor, right? Here is the robber. Now, for each wound he deals to survivor, they must discard one of their equipment cards, because he's going to rob you too. He not only was a robber, he still is a robber, as you can tell here with this trusty bag that he has. And the last runner we have is the skateboarder. You see a skateboard down there? Very, very cool. He moves 2 spaces on the first move she makes during each activation. So the first time she moves, she's going to move 2. So a little bit faster than the other ones because she's got some wheels, right? And she can skateboard and come through everything. Very cool and very hip. Here is the Welder. Now we're getting into the bigger ones that we have here. The Welder's killed by rule of 6. His propane tank is hit, and it creates a devastating Molotov. So you want to be very careful because you got a propane tank on the back of him that they would have there. So their weapon would break due to an all-out roll. They may discard the Welder figure instead of the weapon cards. That's pretty cool. That is the big Welder. And then we have the Unicorn Girl. You can see the little horn on her head. She is a big one. When you eliminate the Unicorn Girl, you get to choose any skill you want and gain it until the end of your next turn. So anything that you want to do, she will grant your wish, and that's the Unicorn Girl. Here is the Sumo Wrestler that you will see. Survivors simply cannot enter the Sumo Wrestler zone. So you have to use a ranged attack on this one, because if you enter his zone, you would immediately be crushed by him, so you cannot come in. And here is Sports Fan, the big guy. So, if so distracting as survivors within range of 0 or 1 of the Sports Fan have the accuracy level of their weapons increased by 1 up to a maximum of 6. You can see his foam finger. He is ready to cheer on his local team. Here is the Luchador, which is funny because he's so big, and most Luchadors you would think of would be kind of small. Leaving his zone costs survivors additional action on top of the normal one. So getting away from him is not going to be something that would be easy to accomplish. And finally, we have the Goth Chick. And she, whenever an actor is killed in her zone, she immediately gets an extra activation. So she is pretty brutal, as you can tell. Very cool looking. So that's the set. Now, they kind of tell you in the rules here, these have not been play tested. These are just for fun, and you can add these in and use the rules, but just know that they're not balanced. But some of these are really fun and kooky and a lot of blasts. I like using these a lot. I like stuff like this in my Zombicide, just weird things that kind of add in. Sure, they add a little randomness and silliness, and you can use the zombie sculpts and just ignore the powers if you want to, but I think the powers add a lot, and they're very thematic, so that's kind of cool that I think that they would be added in. So, I would definitely recommend finding the daily zombie spawn set, finding this, adding it in, having all these really cool, unique zombies in there. Excellent job. I'm a big fan of this.